Start by creating your account in IFT, and you can just use a free account. You don't need any of the paid tiers for today's demo. Next, we'll create our applet. At the top, click on Create. This is the Applet Builder, and it's always made up of the if this portion, which is your trigger, and the then that portion, which is your action. Click on Add beside if this. And we're triggering this by a webhook, so search for webhooks. You have two options: receive a web request with a JSON payload, or receive a web request. We're going to be using the second one for this demo. The first one's a little bit more advanced, and we're not covering that in today's demo. Choose the second one. You need to give your event a name. You can call it anything you like as long as you only use letters, numbers, and underscores. No spaces, no special characters. I'm going to call this email_me. Click on Create Trigger. That's our trigger portion done. Now we need to configure our action. Click on Add beside then that. And my action is I want this to send me an email. So search for email. A couple of options come up. Choose the first one, email, and then click on Send me an email. Here's where you can customize the subject and body of the email. I'm just going to clear the subject field and type Greetings from ProtoPie Connect. And in the body, we're going to use a little bit of information that we're going to pass along from Connect. I'm going to say hi, and then here's where I want to insert a little bit of information. You have up to 3 values that you can pass along. Click on value 1, and we're going to say congratulations. You've just created your first ProtoPie Connect integration. And click on Create Action. That's it. This is your applet built. We have our trigger, which is the webhook, and then we have our action, send an email. I'm going to click on Continue. I have a chance to review this, and then I'm going to click on Finish. Now our applet's built and it's ready to go. Before we move on, I just want to show you a couple things you can do from this screen. You can toggle your applet on and off, and that's what this big giant toggle is for. Right now it's saying connected, which means it's running. You can view the activity, and this is useful if you're trying to debug things. So this is where you can see the requests come in. And to delete it, you can use this archive option. We're done in IFT. The rest of the work we're going to do in ProtoPie. So here in my pie, I have a very simple composition. I have some text, I have an input field, and I have this big red button. And if I preview this, the only thing it does right now is it responds to a click of the button and it animates the press of the button. What I'd like to happen is I'd like to capture my name and then click the button, and I want that to send a message to Connect along with my name. We already have a trigger here for hitting the button, so let's add a send response. And remember that when you send a message to Connect, you need to use the ProtoPie Studio channel. The message, I'm going to call this big red button. And I'm going to click on Send Value Together. The IFT applet expects something called JSON as the data that's passed along with it. If you're not familiar with JSON, this is going to look a little bit cryptic, but know that JSON is just a collection of name and value pairs. The names or keys can be value 1, value 2, value 3, and the values can be anything you like. And we're going to pass along our name with value 1. So we're sending an entire text string. So we're going to start with a quote, and JSON always starts with a curly brace. And then the name of the key, it's enclosed in quotes, but I want those quotes as part of the text. Normally when you use quotes in your formulas, it signifies to ProtoPie that you want to start or end a bit of text. But in this case, we want the quote to be part of the text. We want it to be inside. We need to do something called escaping. And you escape a character by preceding it with a backslash. That's the one above the enter key. So if I write /quote, that's telling ProtoPie that this quote is part of the text, not starting or ending it. And we're going to use the text value 1, all lowercase, and then escape another quote, /quote, colon, and now here is where we specify the value. And the value is also encased in quotes, and that needs to be in the string as well. So escape a quote, and then do another quote, because now here's where we're going to insert the value from the text field, plus. I'm going to click on the plus over here, name.text, plus I need a new quote to say I'm starting text again, escape another quote, close the curly braces, close the quote. Now, if this looks a little bit cryptic to you, don't worry. You can just copy this from the instructions and paste it in, and it'll work just as is. Say OK to that, and I'm going to save. Now let's move over to Connect. And I'm going to bring in my Pi. So I'm just going to drag it right in. And let's run this in the browser. If I just hit this button here, I expect to be able to see a message come through. So let's see. There we go. We saw the message come through. And right now it has no value. So let's put in a name. Let's put in the name Jeff. Hit Connect, and there we go. Now we saw value 1 come through with the value Jeff. So this is working. We need to configure this now to trigger our IFT applet. So let's go to plugins up here, click on IFT. Don't click on run just yet because we need to configure a few things. The first thing you're asked for is your webhook key. To find your webhook key, go back to the IFT website, click on Explore, search for webhooks, click on Documentation. This whole bit of text here, this long string of seemingly random characters, this is your unique key. Now this is private to you, so don't share it with anybody, and it's why I have it blurred out in this video here. Copy it and paste it right here in Connect. Now we want to make sure that we can trigger the applet from Connect, and before we hook this up to be fully working, we can test. So down the bottom here, you have the option of test, and the event name is what we called this in the applet, which is email_me. And the JSON payload, this is where we put that value 1 that we built in ProtoPie. But here, because this is a test, we can put in here anything we like. So I'm just going to put in value 1, and we'll call this test name. Okay, now I'd like to send this. I can't yet because the plugin is not running. So let's go to the top. Run, and now you see the send button becomes available. I'm going to hit send. If we go back to the IFT website, and we should be able to go to our applet, and we should see some activity come through. There we go, applet ran. And if I click on the details here, we should see test name as value 1. That's great. And I should have received an email. And there it is. Hi, test name, congratulations. You've just created your first ProtoPie Connect integration. So we can trigger our applet from Connect. The last thing we want to do is we want to hook it up to the message coming in from our Pi. And that's what you do in this middle section, events. We need to associate the message, big red button, with the event name for our applet, email me. So let's type in big red button in the first box. In the second box, we're going to use email_me. And I don't need to specify the JSON information. We already built that within ProtoPie, and that will get passed on automatically. Now we should be able to do this for real. Let's go over to our Pi here, and let's use a different name. We're going to use the name Leah. And I click on the big red button. I should see the event come through here, value 1 Leah. And if everything worked right, I should have received an email. And there it is. Hi Leah, congratulations, you've just created your first ProtoPie Connect integration. And that's it. That's all there is to integrating IFT with ProtoPie Connect. Now this may seem like a bit of a useless example, but if we go back to the IFT website and we go to Explore and you take a look at the services, you're going to see there are literally hundreds you can work with here. So if you want to trigger your Amazon Alexa, for example, or you want to trigger something with Smart Home, or if you want to integrate with your blog, or if you want to send yourself a text, you can trigger all of those things with a webhook message. So there you go, easy as pie. This is how you create an integration with IFT using ProtoPie Connect.